Hello, footies, and welcome back to another episode of Foot and Review. It's been a while since we've actually collated together, hasn't it? I feel like it's been far too long. Along with me is we have John, who's joining us.
Hello there.
It's been a while, John. It's been a while. We haven't connected in a long time. We haven't spoken about football Ultimate Team in a long time. How's things been? How you been?
Yeah, I've been good, thanks. It's been a while, and that's also the reason why we haven't put out any shows. It's some circumstances going on, so that made it hard for us to schedule it. Luckily, we scheduled that right in the best promotion of the year in the Shapeshifters, of course. So there could be could be worse times to be off, unable to record a podcast, but we're back. Yeah, definitely.
That's exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head there, John. I mean, it's not like EA has made the game. All the content's so impressive that we've had to just jump into the recording studio and talk about this brand new promo or this player. It's all been a little bit flat, and that probably shows in the way we've been putting our shows out. We haven't been putting any because it's not really been worth it.
That's yeah. No, I mean, normally we will put out something, right? But there's been a lot going on. We have been working on the new season, of course, new season of podcast. I mean, it sounds a long while ahead of what, but it's actually coming in really fast. So new format's been discussing a lot of ideas with the community. So that's a shout to the people listening to this show. If you have any ideas or any nitbits with us, let us know. Please just reach out on socials or send an email or reach out on the Discord because the new season 8 already, by the way, Shaq. Season 8 is coming up. But it's going to be way different by the look of it. So I'm looking forward to that. But the risk is always to do the last shows of the last season in the new format. And that was something we're not going to do. But yeah, that's been a lot of work in the meanwhile. So don't worry, we've not abandoned anyone. We just forgot to post for 2 weeks.
No, we've been. I mean, just for the people that are not in the know as such, we've been doing a lot of discussion in the background, trying to find out how we can tweak things for next year, trying to see how we can keep things entertaining and keep things relevant as well. And I think if we really wanted to, we could have forced our way into making a show for the past couple of weeks, but it just didn't feel organic, didn't feel like it was required. And I mean, yeah, and well, we will jump in here and through this cycle, we'll jump in as frequently as possible and give you an update. But FC26 will be a different story altogether.
Definitely. I'm very much looking forward to that. But we're not discussing the FC26 rumors today.
No. I mean, we could go down that little rabbit hole towards the end of the show, maybe, but I don't really want to discuss too much about FC26 because we have at least about 3.5 months or so of this game left. So, John, let's start with FC25. Let's start about team of the season. With the state of the game, how the team of the season was. I mean, let's talk about the state of the game first. And then the reason I bring up team of the season is I think we all are very excited as a community. I think collectively we all wait for team of the season. We all know that team of the season will last for 6 weeks or whatever, and then we get exhausted by the end of it. It's a known pattern for the past 2 years or so. But this particular year, I feel like something went a little bit too far for a lot of people where it was felt really flat, didn't really have that excitement. We had a lot of content, but a lot of nothingness as well. We had a lot of packs, a lot of grinding. The overall package didn't seem like it was perfectly curated for us. Then I think, are we the target audience anymore? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a weird year, right? So a couple of things about state of the game. I think the game itself, the balance, the fact there's still tuning stuff, is actually the game itself is in a good state, gameplay wise. I definitely am on that. I'm definitely on that mindset. I think it's pretty well balanced. There's things that get tuned, but we saw. I mean, 6 months in the game, we see a low-driven shot being completely overhauled. I think that's actually a really good thing. So I want to comment on that. I don't think the game itself is in a poor shape. What I do think is a bit troublesome is maybe the power curve has been up too much too soon. And that's something that was really obvious to me when we went to Crete for the tournaments there. When you see if this game is actually really balanced and you have something to play for in this situation, a cup to play for, then this is actually a really cool game to play. The issue comes with the fact they give out free Maradona Zidanes at this like pretty early on, and the EVOs, we'll talk about EVOs later, I suppose, sort of make sure there's nothing left to play for. I've said that a couple of weeks ago, I think, as well. Normally, when Team of the Season hits, it's like, now it's available for everyone. Here comes the Team of the Year, value cards that are available for everyone. I mean, I played 2 weekend leagues for Team of the Season, and I was like, I don't actually need to play more because there's, sure, Lewandowski will come in, but we also have a cool, pretty Robin van Persie card, and I'm sort of playing one strike formation. So, why I don't have to play for rewards or anything. And that I sort of abandoned even the upgrade SPC path, which is normally something I do every day, like every moment I can, just to get some blues in. But now I was like, 99% of the blues I will pack, the Jamels not counting, but are not going to be put in a team. There's just no reason for me to grind this out anymore. And then, if you see how other games do it, like completely, I wanted to talk about that for a bit if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
But I've seen other games, and I've been playing, for example, Diablo, which just resets the game every 3 months. This new season, that means you get put back into having no gear at all, level 1. Good luck, try again, but with a different flavor of the week or different flavor of the season. Actually, I found that so refreshing.
That's a very interesting topic. That's a really interesting topic because one of the things that we always experience is at the end of the year we give up whatever we built for a whole year. We just give it up and we start all over again, and that feels like a really long cycle. But then you do a really quick. Geez, I think you're onto something there because if you think about it, the way EA is accelerating this year compared to even last year, the way EA is accelerating through the year, if you suddenly combine that into a 3 month sprint, like a season, where you get all these cool cards and you can get really good cards at the start of the year as well, but they're gone at the end of 3 months. Look,
it's refreshing. Like there's something. There's what they do at Diablo. I'm just going to compare it to Diablo for a bit. Okay, what they do with Diablo is you get a character, you level a character up, and every month you're like, hey, or every season, do I want to bring a new character in? I want the same class or whatever. But it gets tuned a bit. So sometimes, for example, a sorcerer is too powerful. In FIFA, you could say the troop ball is too powerful, whatever. After that 2 month or 3 month period, seasons sort of shift around a little bit. They say, okay, next season, this is going to be what we're focused on. We've reduced the effectiveness of this. This fired power is going to be tuned down a little bit. And after the new season hits, everyone starts at 0 or level 1 again, with knowing these are the changes that are coming this season. You can still keep your old character as well, by the way, except you're playing on a different server against everyone else with everyone else that kept that player. But nobody actually, not nobody, but I think there's just a very small percentage that keeps playing that one. It's called the legacy version of your character. I was like, I'm not going to play this game every 2 months, refresh. You know what? If I made it to the top level and I grinded out some gear, I'm done. But then they bring something fresh to the table. I'm like, yeah, actually, let's try a new character. Let's try a new formation. Let's try a new setup.
And is everyone starting?
It's better than just dropping me back to league, to divisions or one division. And like, you know?
That is, I'm just trying to put it from a FIFA perspective.
Let's say the FIFA perspective. You start the game.
Yep.
EAFC. We start a new season. You get 2 months of a season or 6 weeks. How much? It's 6 weeks now, right? Season.
Yep, 6 weeks a season. Yeah.
We get 6 weeks a season. At the end of the season, you get to keep one player to use in your new season team, or 2 players, and we all start again. Suddenly, trading matters. Gold cards matters. Team of the week cards matter. Except these team of the week cards are a little bit stronger than the team of the week cards we had last season. You put back all of them in Division 10. New players will start in Division 10 as well. All players will start in Division 10. You got something to grind for. Suddenly, upgrade SBCs can make a big difference. Any SBC, that's it. Could be an addition to your player. And maybe even use your legacy team for tournaments or cups or whatever. You can still use everything there. But in rivals, gems, it will feel so much refreshing. And the reset into the new game doesn't make sense or doesn't make much of a difference. And when you would put that perspective into shapeshifters, then I think it could be actually be fun playing 6 weeks with goalkeepers in front. At this stage of the game, I can't be bothered. And shall me correcting that one?
No,
Can't be bothered anymore
no,
with it.
I think you're quite right there. I think like one of the things that I was hoping with shapeshifters was the fact that it's a really, if you think about it logically, it's a pretty good move to have shapeshifters now after team of the season, because we've seen strikers up front, we've seen Lukaku's, Lautaro Martinez's, we've seen all these kind of cards up front. It's one and the same. If you get a Mamadashvili goalkeeper card, we'll be like, yeah, whatever. It is not just another goalkeeper card. You start mixing it up, so it's a really good time. You have a centre back, out of position players that have come up. Again, the theory, how they build these players, how they choose the players, that's beyond our control. We're not really talking about that or critiquing that as such, but as a concept, it makes sense right now.
Yeah.
But it feels a little stale. But having that refresher where suddenly in the middle of a season or towards the end of the season, it's a completely different game mode, it feels like, it just adds a lot of spice. And you can have this spice every 6 weeks, and that'll really spice up. I think we've all been talking about just refreshing the way we've consumed EAFC content over the past 2-3 years, and this is probably a really good
Yeah,
step.
and it's not the only game that does this. So I was checking out card games, for example, so like Hearthstone. You get new expansions every 6 or 8 weeks, or sometimes 3 months, and you can always use the cards from the last 3 months or last 6 months, for example, the last 2 or 3 expansions, but not the old cards anymore. That way they keep refreshing. You still keep buying cards, right? Don't get me wrong. And it wouldn't change. Well, actually, it would maybe entice even EA. Stop listening now, please. But it would actually make people buy packs during the season more to be able to catch up again for the next period.
Yeah.
I think this is it. I think the cycle is just a little bit too long, and in this time around, this year around, they've peaked a little bit too early, making so that the 7 weeks we had of team of the season, I think, felt really long, and makes like I still play the game, of course, but it's more like I quite don't dislike the fact that a McTominay 98 is better than any team of the season card.
I mean, that
It's funny.
concept,
It would be
that
funny for a short period of time. But if I would back 2 weeks ago, I had a Ronaldo card and would now be outpaced by McTominay, I'd be pretty sour about that, right? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I think EA has probably done
Nothing
this.
against McTominay, though, by the way.
No, no. The Scottish legend, I think. People from Scotland, probably. Is he the most, talking about real life football, is he the most decorated Scottish player of all time?
I don't know if it's
I'm only, I'm only digging. I'm sure there must be Kenny Dalglish on his
exactly. I
WhatsApp.
didn't want to diss out Douglas, but I do think
But he's
he's
an ex-Man United.
yeah.
I've got to back my guy. So
It's like I'm not going to get involved in this one, but I do think he has had a great season, and he's a
he
good
has a great season.
representation of Scottish
agree.
football, I guess.
I do agree. I do agree. I mean, look, from a the way the game's actually gone, EA is actually trying to evolve the game. It had one thing. I mean, look, we can bash EA as much as we like, but they're trying the optimum to try and slowly introduce new things like season pass this year. I'll get your thoughts on the season pass collectively. I don't know if I've actually discussed this with you, but essentially what they've done this year with the season pass, they brought it out gently, slowly. They didn't really start the year with a paid season pass, but as the year went on, when they started releasing the season passes and started charging us for them, it felt okay, not too bad. Some of the rewards are pretty good. In fact, from my perspective, this particular season, when you get Rafael Leao towards the end and Kaká towards the end, I think that's a really good reward. Like honestly, for 500k, or I mean, God forbid you spend 1,000 FIFA FC points, but for 500k coins as well, I think it's a really good reward at the end of the whole cycle compared to some of the evolutions and store packs, blah blah blah. You put 500k towards a season pass, you really get some tradable packs along the way. You get Kaká and Rafael Leao. I really can get behind that concept. So they're trying to revolutionize things, but you add like something as you're saying with Diablo, where you get a complete refresh every 6 weeks. The season pass will make a huge amount of difference because you don't have the baggage of holding on to all the other cards from the previous weeks. You can just forget them, start all over again. So it adds it. So it could be, I mean, a couple of years' time, watch this space, folks, because first time, I don't play a lot of other games that are, I play games like maybe Helldivers or Red Dead Redemption. So I don't really engage with other live content. So it's really good to know this is what actually happens. And it's, I mean, other games like Helldivers and things have done similar thing as well. But just going back to EAFC as well this year, don't you think the advent of low driven shots suddenly through the year and also providing things like, when towards the end of the year we had a complete patch where the gameplay completely changed. So was that EA's attempt to do something along those lines? I mean, forcibly or not forcibly, but they've tried to refresh the game completely. Would you agree?
I think this is a topic that's been under conspicuous of being a little bit too well thought out. I think the people that now do the gameplay or are responsible for gameplay actually care way more and have way more influence than they had before. And I feel they do a pretty good job listening to people, watching what's going on, and tuning stuff. Almost constantly. I mean, we got a patch last week, I think, even. So
We did.
the fact that they're still doing that says me they care. It's not about if they don't change that. I don't know if they don't change anything right now. Not many people would care if they wouldn't do it anymore because we're used to them not doing. But the fact they are doing it isn't for me a commercial setting or something like that. I think it's a more of we care and we think that could be better, so they change it.
That's a fair point.
I'm actually really happy to see changes throughout the year. And well, I mean, I've had my fair share of bashing here at the start of the year, right? No communication, but
Yeah.
that has changed. I mean, communication's been much, much better. Even that's them saying they're changing things, but they don't know how to change it yet, or they're working on stuff on certain aspects. And some things didn't make the difference we hoped for, unfortunately, like the pressure thing. But the fact they're still discussing it and they were working on it and they changed it does, I mean, bode well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Much better than before. Normally they drop the game after March, right? Don't forget. They just skip completely. It's like we do content and this is it. So
But could that be because maybe this year compared to every other year, there was a community was extremely vocal as well when the game wasn't really hitting from a gameplay perspective. Again, gameplay, I do agree with you on a certain point where when the gameplay is good, this game is actually a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing this game when the gameplay is fun. And unfortunately, the servers, we won't get into the detail of the servers and the issues you have. I mean, believe it or not, listeners, this is one thing I really think about. Whenever I have a bad game during champ, I think about you, John. I'll tell you why. Because when I have a bad game during champs, and I see that my kid down the road is playing, is watching something on Netflix, and I think, that's probably why my game's not playing that well because I don't have a dedicated connection to my for my game. And sometimes that gets into my mind thinking, it's if I probably had a dedicated connection, that's just for my game. I'm just talking about a perspective that if I had that, maybe my game would be better. But then the other argument is, why should I have a dedicated connection to play a damn bloody video game? I'm just talking about a casual perspective. So
yeah, and I totally get that. But I see that difference in other games as well,
oh, do you?
honestly.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a lot of games, and like for example, we do a lot of sim racing at Racing Review, right? We see there's a lot of difference between input lag, latency on track, bouncing connection, stuff like that, disconnection, packet loss. The same thing happens there. And then there are local servers, but if your infrastructure doesn't support it, it still sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes there's no way around it. I did offer people some tools a while ago though, which
Yeah.
apparently we had some really good feedback about people using those tools and at least pinpointing where there is. Because I do feel, and that's not bashing anyone, but I do feel there's some internet service providers, some ISPs that are taking their piss out of their clients by throttling everything down on their side or on your router side, which isn't really needed. And maybe because we're of course in a dedicated studio, we have
Yeah.
that all under our own control, which makes it for us almost incomprehensible seeing the difference between those things.
Agree, and I think the difference is with someone like me. I'm not a casual. I'm hosting a EFC podcast. I'm not a casual by any means. But even from that perspective, if you think about it, if I had an issue with my ISP where my gameplay was really bad for maybe a couple of weeks, 2 3 weeks, it was consistently bad. So I knew something was wrong with the ISP end. I contacted my ISP. They did a reset on their end or something like that, and it started working really well after that. I mean, regular, but
Yeah.
then every now and then I'll have smooth as butter gameplay on a Saturday night and Sunday, or I'm just at different times during the weekend league. Different times it'll be like every session is completely different. I have time right now to play. the gameplay will be trash. I don't have time to play. I have a couple of games and the gameplay is smooth as butter, and that's the frustration. I think people go through these sorts of cycles, and then it's really hard to know if it's an ISP error because it can't really be an ISP error. I played really well last night; everything was smooth. So, but it could be. It could be ISP having some extra traffic. Who knows? There's a whole variety of things. Without going to too much EA bashing, I mean, at the bones of it, when the gameplay is good, I agree with you. This game is really good fun. I completely agree. Hand on heart, completely agree. It just gets frustrating when the gameplay is bad and 4213, and I'm just talking about general community perspective. I think a lot of people hate the 4213 because it just has focuses on one thing. Just need to get one pass right. And when you have bad gameplay, you're trying to catch up. Two passes, the guy has just countered you and it's probably scored with a cutback. And that's the part that I think is frustrating a lot of people playing the game.
I think the 4213 they just got it out next year. Like that seems like a pretty good idea. Just don't do it.
I don't know. I don't. I don't think it's not really the formation that's the problem. I think it's just because there's certain
No, it
exploits
is.
within the
It
formation.
is. We used to have the 4231. We still have that, of course, a
Yes.
narrow one, which is the same principle.
4-3-2-1 as well.
Yeah, but because of the way the cams are compared to the strikers, it's pretty much it's still good, but it's manageable,
Yeah.
right? And I think the 4-2-1, the 4-2-1-3 makes it so that everyone is able to play that and just there's no risk in doing it.
Yeah.
And there's no constant way of always making sure you got the right persons off because they are so deep and they just stand way different than a cam would be.
Yeah.
I think that is where it sort of they should stop. Like I think if they can't sort of fix it, and you should be looking at defending fixes. So that would mean you need to defend more AI assisted, which is something I'm not really a fan of, honestly, because I like a skill gap in defense. I would just stop using the 4-2-1-3 in game. Just cut it out of the game next year. We had it for 1 year, been good. Just it's been enough. Because there's plenty of formation that are really well balanced, and there's plenty of formation that can work this year. This is the first year. A 4-2-3 could definitely do some damage.
Yeah.
But that has its weaknesses. The 4-2-1-3 doesn't have any weakness. And I think from
one of the
balance
biggest
got it out.
one of the biggest issues I find, the reason why 4-2-1-3 is popular and the counter, for example, if you want to use a 4-4-2, 4-4-2 might be effective. I'm talking about a traditional 4-4-2, not this year's 4-4-2, where you have the CMs. I'm finding any formation that doesn't have CDMs this year, it makes it, you almost have to work that extra hard to try and stay in the game. And that's what frustrates me because you can't really attack your opposition. You have to also sit back to make sure you have CDMs and control the game and then try and 4-2-1-3 is the most effective way to counterattack. So I think that's where we're really struggling to find a counterbalance for the 4-2-1-3 without being aggressive. Because if you want to be aggressive with CMs, it's just not working out. That's what I'm finding, at least.
Yeah, but like 4-2-1, like 4-2-3-1, either the narrow or the wide one, are still very good defensive formations, very much able to counterattack, very much able to keep possession with, but it's not too strong. You have to work for through ball because your players have to come from a midfield position or run forward.
Correct.
With 4-2-1-3, the problem is they're already there.
Yes.
So you lose the ball, you can ping it forward, and you hit it eventually. You hit it once or twice, even without any. If you don't play this game often, you play the 4-2-1-3. One of your CDMs gets the ball, you can just hoof it forward, and at least 2 times you get a 1-on-1 against normal opposition, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, on pro level, it doesn't actually go, but even there, it's just try it, and else we'll do a far shot instead if you're lying too deep. So I think that's the issue. It doesn't require much skill, and that it's something I shouldn't have said, but it's more like it does. It isn't.
Shots fired.
It does
Fired.
no. It doesn't harm you. It doesn't put you at risk when you play it. And I think normally a formation should have a counter offset, and this one just doesn't. There's no weakness in this formation. There's no reason I would tell anyone don't play this formation. Why, if you play 4-3, I would say, okay, but make sure you switch enough. Don't step in with your midfielders. Make sure you keep, etc., etc. But 4-2-1-3, it's just go ahead. Doesn't matter. Put a 95 bet. It's fine. Just try it.
I kind of agree with your skill thing, but also disagree in a way because there's a good way to play 4-2-1-3 and there's a really good way to play 4-2-1-3. There's a lot of people getting a lot of success with 4. I'm not advocating for it, but there's a lot of people that use it as a stock stand formation right now because it almost gives them that level playing feel and then their skills take them to the next level. So if I play 4-2-1-3, for example, I'm really good at it, I could probably get away with maybe maximum 11 wins. But there's people that get like, or the 15 or even 14, or they get really good results playing the 4-2-1-3. They've effectively mastered that
Yeah,
skill-less way, but they've mastered it really well. So yeah, it works.
yeah, a little bit too well. Yeah.
A little bit too well, a little bit too well. Well, just switching gears a little bit, I just really want to take your take on someone who actually does a lot of EVOs and does consumes EVO content all the whole year round. John, what's your take on this new style of EVOs? I'm assuming you've seen it, where you firstly have to complete an SPC in the game. You get this card that actually gives you, for example, a basic card with 2 playstyles, and then you do an Evo that you pay for, and then you evolve your final player and get your final player, rather than in the past, shock horror, we used to get an SBC that gave us a player directly. What's your take on this?
No, I don't want to be too harsh. Now, like, okay, side note, I don't care too much about EVOs. Just put it out there, right? I don't mind grinding the game out if I know what the reward is, and I think that's what the EVOs do really well currently. You play because you know what's on the end of the, that carrot on the end of the stick. You know in front what's it going to be, what's going to taste like. You get a good EVO player from it. Fine, that I quite like. I'm an old guy, and I just like if I do an SPC, I want to have the player to play with.
That's it.
So those EVOs are not for me. But I'm also not someone that cares about evolutions at all. And I've done one this year, and that is Maradona, because we got that for free and then worked to get it even better. We're like, yeah, I can put the effort in that. That's fine. For the rest, I don't care at all for EVOs. But it's good to have it there as long as I also get the regular SBCs. That gives me players to do so. But like I said, I think it's sometimes EVOs are a convoluted way to checking. I think it's hard for EA to manage them properly, which is sometimes they can be too strong. It's hard for EA not to make it too weak either. Like you can't have a good SBC out and a good EVO SBC into an evolution path as well, because then everyone will skip about the evolution and don't buy packs or spend the coins doing that. Like I think it could be a good way to put it into the season pass. Right, put it into the you get the player from the season pass and then Evo in it. If you don't put in the effort for the Evos anyways. If you put in the money for the season pass, you know that player will be on your pod somewhere, and you can decide in advance that you want to put the time involved in that
Yeah,
further. But I don't
fair.
mind it, but it's not for me. Let's be like that.
That's a fair point. I think I agree with most of the things you said, but from my perspective, I
That's
think
been
there's a
different in
time.
the past, though.
I agree, but from my perspective, I think I agree with EVOs being out. I agree with SPCs being out. Love the whole concept. But there's a time and a place for EVOs after SPCs, and there's a time and a place for SPCs as a whole, because we haven't had any good. The last good SPC we had that people would use their fodder was, I think, was Thuram.
Robin van Persie.
Yes, Robin Van Persie was good. I agree, but then Thuram was. I'm talking about the
No, I
regular
know, I
people
know.
that
Just wanted to
lack
give a little
your
bit of
level of skill.
Manchester fan.
Nah, fair enough. No, all the Robin Van Persie cards this year were pretty good. Like I must give it to EAFC for that. They've been pretty good, especially the latest one. Have you tried the latest one?
Of course. I
Really,
mean,
really good.
yeah.
Really, really good. Really. Anyway, just going back to having an SPC. No, we have not had a really good player SPC since I think Hullet and Thuram, and nothing where we can actually sink a fodder. And we've got Kevin De Bruyne. Every one of them has been overpriced, and we've really not had that. The big Ronaldinho, or And I'm not saying we need something like that. I'm just giving an example. And now we get an opportunity to actually get a Butragueno or maybe a Czech. Disagree. I mean, I know people get really PTSD after seeing a Czech striker card, but it's the card was fun. Whatever year, I think it was last year or the year before, was one of my favorite strikers. Anyway, this whole concept I really don't like, where you spend a portion of your fodder on an SPC, and then you spend either real money or coins, and there's no way to grind it using your fodder to complete the evolution part of it. That's the part that really gets me. It's just like you're taking us further away from the things that we like. We like this other content as well, but we would like to have that other SPC way as well. I mean, if you remember a couple of years ago, we used to get tradable packs as rewards. Those became untradables. We just thought, oh, this is weird. And as time went on, we got more and more untradables, and it just became fully untradeable. So my concern is that we had this beautiful SPC life, and then we've had a beautiful Evo and SPC life, and slowly it's going to go into this hodgepodge where we do an SPC and then we have to Evo it because it's not going to be good enough. And that's my concern, and which is why I'm not engaging with that type of content. Just to say, this is my way of saying, I don't agree with this. I might like Butra, I love Czech, I love Yashin, but I am not engaging with this content because I don't want this to come back next year.
No, I'm on the same boat. Like I don't engage in it either. I
Yeah,
think it's I either do the SBC or I do an Evo, and I think giving out a very cheap SBC to get you the card, which you then can Evo, is also definitely an option. This false dad in the middle most of the time, saying, "I thank you for your coins, but we also need your time,
yeah.
and my time is too precious for that."
Ah, oh, you will love this then, John. You will absolutely love this. For the measly sum of 500,000 coins or 1,000 FC points, you could lock away your Cristiano Ronaldo SPC, the 93 version, or Player of the Month Mbappe, 93 version. You could spend 500k or 1,000 FC points and lock them away for 21 days, I think, last or three weeks. Lock them away in an evolution, not touch them for those 3 weeks, and then get them back. What are your thoughts on that?
That's the other side of the medal, I suppose, right? I mean, that says giving you coins and don't play. Which sounds like a good period. I should have done that 3 weeks ago. I had training camp things. I think
Yeah,
it's sort of like I said. We can't, and I don't think EA should forget that this is a video game which we need to play,
correct.
right? It isn't a Tamagotchi simulator or a Pokemon Go where you put cards into a hatchery and wait 3 weeks. Why? Because that just you make your team weaker,
Yep.
and then you do. I mean, I just don't get the idea of that. If you the moment they start locking away, you start to have to put cards away and don't touch it. It sort of undulls everything for football. I think for
Yeah,
football simulator, for football game, I
exactly.
get where it's coming from, but it's more like, eh, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree. And I think you hit. I'm glad you brought up the Tomaguchi concept because a lot of kids, or anyone, I don't think any young listener here is listening to us
I
who's
said Pokemon Go
underage.
just after that, just to make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Well, Tomaguchi really struck a chord because that's something that we grew up with, where it was just this thing. But now, when you have these cards that we like to play with, they're not trump cards, they're real cards that we like to play a video game with, locking them away for 3 weeks just boggles my mind. I really, who thinks this is a good idea? Then it starts to concern me that, John, are we not the right clientele, as I
Well,
referenced earlier?
it comes. You go to a casino to gamble. You could gamble with this game. It's say right, open packs and stuff. But I've never seen a casino which says, okay, you know what? Give me your chips, put them in the locker, see you in 3 weeks, and we add 2 chips on it. Never. Right? It doesn't make sense because I'm there to
Doesn't make
play. Right?
correct.
And I think that is why this training camp concept just doesn't work. It doesn't work in like you are honestly putting away one of your best cards, right?
Yep.
General teams. And okay, let's say this is a perfect concept. I'll make it a little bit worse for this one. You put him in 93 rated Ronaldo, you get him back as a 98 rated Ronaldo.
It is, yeah.
Okay, you put it in, you get back 3 weeks later, and then we have a McTominay, which you can pick up, which is better.
Yeah.
You haven't played your top striker for 3 weeks, and now you won't play him anymore. I don't know.
In,
I
in
don't know.
fairness, in fairness to EA, they're asking for 93 rated max cards. So we presumably, if you've been engaging with the team of the season content, you might have better cards. Fair enough. 93 rated, still not your top striker in your team. could be a really good evolution possible. But my bugbear is, you said McDominay. So when you put them away for 3 weeks and you get them back around footies, when you get them back at footies, you have a 4 playstyle card that you evo that you parked away for 3 weeks. But guess what? By then, most cards will have 5 playstyle pluses. So you're already on the back foot, and that's the thing that they think either that we are completely blind and we won't notice these sorts of things, but there's a lot of things that are just like starting to get a little bit frustrating with
Yeah,
content.
but like in concept, it doesn't make sense to not touch your cards.
Correct. That on the
I think that's
baseline.
just it. This was a nice idea. If you could say, you know what, you back a card in a weekend. If you put it away for until the next team comes out on a Friday, you get an extra boost if you don't use it this week. Whatever. That then I could say, you know what, it gives you a couple of days off. Maybe if you have a busy weekend, you could say that makes sense. And actually, it helps the people that can't play during the week. Something like that. I'm like,
Fair.
sort of good concept. Putting a card away for 3 weeks is just bullocks. Sorry, there's no
I
other
can
way of putting it.
completely agree. Couldn't agree more. Right. Talking about just switching gears here a bit, I just really want. I don't think I've spoken to you about this perspective, and I really am curious. And as the days go on, and I'll reference back your time at Crete as well, and I'll explain why. So one of the things I'm really curious about from your perspective is roles and playstyle pluses this year. We've had playstyle pluses last year with the advent of roles this year. And the reason I bring it up as well, you mentioned Creed and you mentioned playing with kickoff mode with random teams and how much fun it was. And I do agree, it was a lot of fun. But you know what I missed? I miss seeing the playstyle pluses on most of my players. I miss seeing my players having these incisive pass or long ball pass. And when in the middle of those kickoff games, if you randomly stumbled upon a team that had a couple of those, you suddenly felt like you could play ball. You had the advantage. And that's what I thought to myself. I just played a couple of weeks ago. I played we went out for a friend's night and we played a lot of kickoff. And I was like, there is something there. There is a lot here, but I'm missing those playstyle pluses. So what did you feel in Crete?
Actually, I like playstyles. Just put it like I like playstyle pluses because it makes players act according to their real life counterparts. It could be like that. I'll put it like this. And at the start of the year, I think of a good playstyle plus on a player, it makes it totally different how you can approach a game. If you have a fullback that can cross, you can put that card up and you can say, you now go overlap if the rule allow that. And using that playstyle, you're able to Trivella cross your way up. I don't know, but
Yeah,
something.
I get
You get a striker with a good header, you can put him on. He's big, he's tall. I can actually use him to play the game I want to play with.
correct.
Right? When I was in Crete, we played the 95 kickoff mode, I think it's called, where every player is 95 rated, but they keep the playstyles. They keep the playstyles they have originally. So if they have a playstyle plus on them, it will still trigger that playstyle plus. And you can see how much of a difference a playstyle plus matters if you play a player in the correct way. So one with the Trivella shot, if you got inside, it could make a difference, or with the finesse shot, or you name it. A bruise on a defender does definitely make a difference if you have one without, or you name it. The problem comes if you don't use our idea of resetting the season every 6 weeks.
Yes.
That at the course of the year, playstyles don't matter at all. It does. Like if a player now doesn't have 4 playstyles, right? Then it doesn't make sense using that player currently.
Correct.
And here's my thought, my counterpart, which people said when I said a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about this with some friends and with some colleagues of with other FIFA FUT organizations. They're like, yeah, John, but you're spending money on cards which you won't be able to use later on. Like, yeah, that's a nice point of view, but you're not using any three playstyle players currently either in your team, which you might have spent money or time on evolutions on as well. You're not using them because they only have 3 playstyles. So resetting it doesn't really matter for that perspective as well. Plus, you don't get the broken cards. If you do, you could still have 2 playstyles on the card, which is totally fine. Don't break the game. Still get you that nice feeling of how this one has that playstyle, this one doesn't. So I can use this one on the inside forward, while meanwhile trying to finesse mine because that's his power. A Salah card at the start of the year felt special. A Salah card right now is like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think EA has helped themselves a little bit by adding playstyle pluses in the store. In it's not the store, sorry, the
Yeah,
season,
Goku
the
put it
season,
in the story.
the season pass, where you can actually get some playstyle pluses and add it to your 3 playstyle pluses card, bring them up to the power curve. It kind of makes sense. They're trying to bring it up, but I think the bare bones of it all, if a player, like you said, if a player is currently in this game and you're using a player with 3 playstyle pluses when everyone has 4 or even 5, God forbid, the 3 playstyle plus player just feels lacking. And that's a bit unfair because we're getting all these cards and we're making cards redundant really quickly and just moving on. And the issue with that as well is team of the season, we had a lot of players, really good players that came up with 3 playstyle pluses. You mentioned Salah. Funny enough, Salah's playstyle pluses for the team of the season, he had 4, and team of the year he had 3. But his team of the year playstyle pluses felt a lot more usable, a lot more useful because he had Trickster Plus, he had Rapid, and that was made the card slightly more unique and more useful for the meta, as opposed to having 4 playstyle pluses. So it's a hodgepodge of everything where EA is trying to do all these sorts of things, and you really have to sit down with a calculator and a spreadsheet as to which things you really value, and the price doesn't really factor in. Well, it could factor in the playstyle pluses, but the price usually factors in the rarity of a card, not really
Yeah, and I
playstyle.
think so. To my conclusion on playstyles and rules is I really really like the edition and I think it's really well done. Completely honest with that. I do feel that the longer we go on in this cycle, the more abundant it doesn't make any sense anymore. Doesn't really matter anymore. Like how much fun was at the start of the year when you got a forward and that had inside forward on as a rule, and also had like the finesse plus. You're like,
Finesse plus.
I mean, the stats are a little bit meh, but he could fill that role. You know
Yeah,
what? I'm going to risk playing on 2 chemistry and just because he can do this.
yeah,
And you would actually actively give that player the ball to try to attempt to do those things, right?
yeah,
That would also make sure that if you back a player, you're like, oh, but this one, I really want this player because he has the ball playing defender in my situation. I
yeah,
want him next to me because I need someone to build up from the back. Now everyone has that anyway, so who cares? Just looking at stats, but everyone 99 stats as well. So it doesn't really matter either. Um, and I think you can give them 2, 5, 7, you can give 10 playstyles or rules. That doesn't matter. The fact is, the cycle goes on too long, so it gets into crazy stuff. So it sort of loses the value.
yeah,
I think we can all say like the concepts they put in this year, except for the training camp, has been pretty good
yeah,
in my honest opinion. And I actually appreciate them putting in the training camp, trying something. The problem is the cycle takes long and the power curve keeps kicking you in the butt in this situation. So cut off the seasons, make seasons shorter, make every card relevant again. Then you start building, and then you can actually tune the game better as well during the season.
yeah. I
Also,
mean,
if you got a like we did, I do think we have a solution here, though, Jack. Because let's say you can like, oh, this is the 90 rated season, and you give every card that comes out just 90 rated. Who cares? Put them in 90. If you pack a card, it's always going to be 90 rated. Because you're only using them for 6 weeks, right? Who
yeah,
cares?
fair.
Never going to
That's
complain about the fact they give Park Shao a 89 rated card. Well, he's going to be running in one of the best competitions soon, and everyone forgot about it. Or Hansko just a night, because he's in that season. That's fine. Everyone has it. Fine. I'll use it anyways. But if he doesn't have the correct play style, I'm like, you know what? That might be an issue. Ah,
Yeah. To be fair, that's exactly what's happening right now anyway. You have a player that's got 96 passing and you have a player that's got 91 passing. And the 96 passing's got no passing play styles, where the 91's got a couple of tiki
yeah.
taka pluses and insides. Way better card. Way better card. So the stats don't really matter. So what you're saying is probably spot was already kind of happening with all this manipulation of weird looking graphics, but really doesn't mean anything.
And we have chemistry anyways, and we still have boosts. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they're
That's
all
right.
99 rated in the places you want them to be, right? Anyways, so.
It looks like it exactly with all the chemistry styles and everything, and you have all those boosts, and everyone's got. You're quite
But
right.
this is,
Everyone's
I
already.
think this is what if I summarize our last 45 minutes of conversation, I think if I would summarize FC25, it's okay, refreshing. I honestly believe there's a lot of refreshing things. Not everything's executed well,
Yeah.
rush, but most things are
Yes.
most things are refreshing. Most concepts work. most tunable game ever so far. They keep tuning
Yeah.
until last week. Really well done. The problem is all these things feel gimmick. Well, they have to tune it into gimmicky territory because the season takes too long,
Yeah.
and they have to keep it fresh by giving more people things. If you would do that with other games, you would have level 600 characters in Diablo. You would have, So there's,
Yeah.
I think that there's better ways of tuning it without taking away the base good
Yeah.
game. What's there?
I think, yeah. Look,
Make
I'm
food
really.
great again. I don't want to say it.
Oh yeah, this is very topical. Let's not go into politics, but yes, I completely agree with that. No, but I completely agree with that. I really think that's something that we probably are angling towards with all the way the power curve's gone. I mean, just to bring it all into context, we've got 3 more months left of this game. 3 months. The new game starts in September, and we are in June. We have 3 months, and it feels like we've peaked about months ago. So I don't really know where
Yeah.
to from here for EA. So this is refreshing. This thing, you have all 99 rated cards for the last 6 weeks. How cool is that? Who cares? It's going to be. It's kind of going to be like that anyway. But you have a structure around it to make it feel more meaningful.
Want me to sell this game for you?
Yeah, go for it.
There you go. We refresh every 6 weeks. We don't
Uh,
put anything into. Don't put any qualifications into champs. You can always put promo cards into champs because they don't have to carry all the way up into the next
correct.
seasons. So
Correct.
you play champs, you have a big chance of a promo card, which you can use for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 week. Then it's done.
Perfect.
So put everyone in champs. Let everyone play champs if they want. Hey, you want to get your teams, you want to boost, perfectly fine. Get them.
Yeah.
Put extra rewards you can bring into the next season. Make those cosmetic.
Yep.
You get a good score in champs, you get this season's special champs jersey. You go into the season 3 jersey, you make it look different with a dragon on its back. I don't care. But hey, it would be pretty cool if I have a golden dragon on my back in the next season. Everyone sees I got performed really well last season. Reset the rifles. You can cater into new players and you can keep in the old players because everything's. You don't have to you don't have to be too creative for your own good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll be putting things back into things. And I'm honestly, I think it will solve a lot of problems because it was also so. Hey, the driven pass is the driven shots is too good. There's an example. The driven pass is too good. After 3 weeks into the season, everyone's complaining about the driven pass because we have a lot of players that have that rule or the playstyle. Sorry, have that playstyle, and you see that's getting abused. Then EA either has 3 weeks to tune it before the next season starts, or they don't release as much low-driven players in the new season.
That's it. They've got an easy fix. That gives them some breathing space as well. Look, footies, I'm really, really keen because this is not a concept that I was familiar with. This is not a concept that I even thought was applicable, but it's the test cases are pretty evident, and I can see the use cases for this, and I can see this actually being a thing in the future. If
I can see you get excited by an idea that's probably not going to happen though in 3 months.
Oh, look, I'm not expecting it to happen in 3 months, but I think this is where EA is.
This is why you do get us to the created network thing, EA, because that's it as well. Just
we're
putting
all
it out
about
there.
ideas. We're all about ideas. Look, we can sit here and bash the game EA, but we're here to help you because we love the damn game. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it. So let's preface this by saying I think it's a really good idea, and I'm really curious because I haven't really heard this concept before, but it makes complete logical sense. So, footies, if you're listening to this, just give us your feedback. What do you think? Do you think it's a stupid idea? Do you think it's a good idea? I personally think it's a really good idea, but I would love to hear if you think. I mean, without having to go ranty, just give us some holes in. I mean, there's things that we haven't touched about how SPCs would impact and fodder and stuff. We're not touching that. We're just talking as a shell of an idea. I think it's a really good idea. So I'm really curious to see what you guys think. Just let us know on all our socials. Join our Discord and let us know what you thought about this particular concept because I think it's really interesting. And the guys in the Discord who are hearing this conversation really want to know what you guys think because it really I think I'm quite excited, John. I'm looking forward to a future because it can't be the same. We can't have the same game go on for years because a lot of people are dropping off. I mean, I'm sure people in Europe don't experience this, but I talk to a lot of people from different regions, and in my region, I load up a game on Rivals. It may or may not find a game in Rivals because there's no one playing. There's hardly anyone playing the game, so it's really hard to find a game. And even if you do find a game, it's against a guy who's just too good to play. So it just so having this sort of
Yeah, but
engagement will
also
allow.
who's playing on routine, right?
Yeah, who's playing on
And
routine?
yeah,
Correct,
which if we do this, you don't have that either.
correct.
Because that
It's
might be a
fresh.
little bit playing with a team that's not as good as he's used to.
Correct. Oh, looking forward to this. Well,
What should
John,
we call this episode? Shaq and John fix food?
I think so. I think make food great again. Make food. I love that. Make food great again. I love that. I don't know how the acronym. I'm not even going to go to the
No,
acronym,
not
but
yet,
yeah.
no.
But yeah, look, we've had a look, footies. John and I just caught up and we thought we'll just have a show, and we really didn't have a clear outline of what we were going to talk about. So we just thought we'll just come together. We're both two passionate guys who really like the game. We're sitting down on a Friday night for me. This is my Friday night of frolic, sitting down when talking to you guys, but just wanted to get together, have a chat, and just touch base, just tell you how things are and what we're thinking of, and how we actually are engaging with the game, and what we're thinking of. And clearly, John's thinking a lot more than I was about the game, so this is really cool.
But it's the thing when you have 3 weeks to work on a new podcast season, which is fresh ideas as well. You start thinking
yeah,
about other things that could use some fresh ideas, I suppose.
yeah. Oh, I just wish EA could think like this and could care this much. It's good, very good. Well, I think we've spoken enough, John. I think should we wrap it up and let people get on with their days?
Yeah, definitely, but not before we give a little shout out to everyone that sent us
Sure.
messages where we were and what was going on. If you're part of the Discord community, you probably knew what was going on, and I appreciate your messages. But do give us a feedback. So, and also you gotta check out our socials at Food and Review everywhere, because there might be something big on the horizon there. Just putting it out there. And of course,
Very
you
cool.
can buy a season pass for like what you say, 1,000 points.
Yeah,
For half of it, you're a Patreon member. So just putting it out there.
you can do both if you want to. If you might as well join us, and we'll tell you how to make the 500k. It's
Easy. Even I can do it. I don't, but I can. I could. Check. Thank you very much, my friend.
Awesome.
You can say the sentence. You're hosting today, so
I am hosting today. So, John, it's the end of the show. So, what
that
we're
means
gonna
it's
do?
time for us to drop it.
FUT.
FUT. Interview. FUT.